Good evening. It is April 28th, and it is National Poetry Month, and we are doing our little part to celebrate. And we are very fortunate to have students to read, and we also have Marnie Masuda, who is from the UHMC, and we have Kristin Carlisle, who's from EO Intermediate, and I'll have them introduce themselves in a second, but let's go down the line to see who we have tonight. Michelle?
Hi, I'm Michelle Colt, and I'm the librarian at Hawaikula Elementary School.
Okay, Marnie and Kristin. Marnie, I can barely see you, so you have to go more to the middle, or come a little closer or something. There you go. Got it.
Marnie Masuda, College, and the director of the Hawaii.
Okay, I think we're getting feedback from you, Marnie. I'm not sure why.
Whenever that happens, you should turn down the volume.
Turning down my volume. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm Kristin Carlisle, an 8th grade English teacher at EO Intermediate School in Wailuku, and the co-director of the Writing Project. Great,
good audio now. And we have two students, and I don't know what their names are, so they're going to tell us. They have to unmute themselves first. Go to the top.
Okay. Mike, guys? Yeah. You need to unmute.
Unmute yourself.
Okay. I thought that's
we can hear you from the other room, but
my name is Mike. I'm a student at UHMC in my 3rd semester, I guess.
And my name is Corinne O'Connor, and I'm also going to UHMC.
Great. Glad to have everyone here. Thanks for coming. Okay, so Marnie is going to start out, and Marnie and Kristin is going to start out and tell us hopefully about Celebrate Reading and also about the National Writing Project, and then we'll go into the readings by the students.
Sounds good. I'm getting a little echo. Well, Celebrate Reading is an annual event we have at UH Maui College where we invite middle schoolers and high schoolers from all over Maui to join UH Maui College students for a day to meet authors and do some writing. And at the very end, we end with a lunch where we do poetry slams and student readings. We invite authors, sometimes from the mainland, young adult authors, as well as adult contemporary fiction authors, and often local. This year we had Lois Yamanaka and a slam poet, Sean Naone Berger, come in and work with students and read and get them writing as well. So it was a really interesting year this year, and many students got up to the mic and read at the end. So more and more we're moving the emphasis from, reading, which is great, to reading and writing and literacy overall, and having the students become more interactive in the event. But it's been happening for close to 10 years now, and every year we get more students and more teachers involved.
It was a great event. We were able to bring a dozen kids down, but we were a small group compared to the other schools. They were bringing busloads.
Yeah, well, they do, and it's just great. Some students, it's their first time really to professional writers, and even, some of them haven't ever shared writing before, and so it's just a mix of students who are already kind of really serious about writing, and some that are just curious. And so it's a way for us to pull students in who may not have even, considered, writing a poem or getting up on a microphone and reading, and just being aware that this is a possibility, that people actually do this for fun and a living. So we have a good time, and it's good to just get students from all over the island together for an event, that's centered around and sharing voices. So this year I really enjoyed it very much.
I've been bringing my students, I'm sorry, for the last 4 years. I think, and I've noticed that at least it seems that every year the kids are increasingly confident, and it's increasingly student-centered. The first year I brought them, it was only a few kids went up to share their poetry or their writing, and this year it was like a line of students, and they were couldn't wait to get up and really slam their poems. It was just it's like this explosion. Like these kids have been wanting to do this for so long, and here's this wonderful venue to allow it to happen. And it's incredible to see like my 8th graders who've never, performed poetry or even really written poetry up there in front of a huge audience, reading with such confidence and emotion.
Audience of their peers and that they've never met before.
Mm-hmm.
It's really amazing. And we had such a long line that people were like taking chairs down and the event was over, but students were still reading. They just did not want to get off the mic, and I was just so happy to see that, So, and the event is sponsored by UH Maui College and Hawaii Council for the Humanities, but also the Hawaii Writing Project, of which I'm the director. And it's a national organization that has different charters in every state that supports authentic writing instruction and literacy instruction that's student-centered. And we work with teachers K through college every summer and throughout the school year to enrich literacy-based instruction in our schools, both public and private. So this is kind of a nice kind of partnership that we've been able to glean through my role as the Hawaii Writing Project Director and an instructor at UHMC. It's a good partnership. We bring a lot of our teachers who were in the writing project in with their students. So we're hoping to keep it growing.
I think Michelle had a question.
Yeah.
We have another poet that we just arrived, writer.
I used to teach language arts at Moanalua High School on Oahu, and probably this was about 12 to 15 years ago. We did Celebrate Reading, also through National Writing Project, and Lorna Hirschna was in charge. I wondered if your program grew out of Lorna's program here on Oahu?
Yeah, we did. And before Lorna retired, she was doing doing the statewide program, and her husband Shell used to be the writing project director. And so I was working with her on Celebrate Reading up until year before last, when she finally was like, she was an amazing force, not just for Celebrate Reading, but throughout the state for literacy and reading, and it's awesome. They're great.
Definitely. I remember one thing she really tried to do too. It was just like you said, to give students a voice. And I think that she also tried to include a lot of multicultural literature that we didn't always have in the classroom at the time. I wondered if that's still a mission, to have multicultural and sometimes underrepresented voices heard through the literature that's chosen.
Yes. That's definitely our mission, I think. Well, the point, I think, in addition to just giving our students here the opportunity to meet published authors and talk to them and hear about their process, is to give our students access to the myriad voices that they might not have heard otherwise, and that could be multicultural. It could be, it could be just voices that we don't usually get to hear, but also local authors who. I think it's really empowering for our students to get to meet and hear authors who were born and raised here and now are accomplished and recognized as really world-class writers, world-class poets, slam poets. So we like to kind of mix it up year after year and let them know that it's not just authors that they hear over and over again in their English classes and are assigned over and over again. And we love the classics, and we love Shakespeare, and we love Elie Wiesel, but there are writers right here, and there are writers that they may never have heard of, or voices that they may never have heard otherwise. So that's what we're kind of always on the lookout for.
Neat. Did you want to say more about the National Writing Project, or no?
Sure. Well, the National Writing Project has been in existence for over 40 years, and has been the most consistently successful professional development organization it sounds crazy, but it's in American history. There's never been an organization that has been consistently successful in raising the levels of literacy on individual school campuses, and the quality of teaching across the U.S. So we're really proud to be a part of that organization and to keep that moving forward here in Hawaii, and attracting new teachers and veteran teachers every summer to come and do our summer institutes and bring back great pedagogy, great curriculum that they've developed and been able to share with one another over the summer. And then their students end up writing and sharing, and it's this great sort of organic program that is it's sort of outreach throughout the country and throughout the islands. So right now we're doing a lot of work here in Maui County because we're both here and we're focused here. Summer we have teachers coming from Big Island, from Oahu, and we're doing another institute with Kamehameha schools this summer with teachers from Kamehameha and their mentors from the public schools as well. So we're getting around and the teachers spend their time over the summer building curriculum so that their students can be poets and writers and really engaged in their own literacy and reading writing process. So
how I would say it really seems at the heart of it. I mean, teachers we are constantly going to professional development. I mean, we do this all the time, but the writing project is unique in that I feel it's fundamentally grounded in inspiring and engaging students, which often is lacking in other types of professional development. So, for instance, at Celebrate Reading, a lot of things that kids were exposed to, that the writers were doing with them, the very things that the writing project teaches in the classroom, the very same strategies. And my kids who went to this, at the end, it was like they had been in Disney World. They were like, this was amazing, this was so fun, I can't wait to come back, I'm doing this every year. I mean, and all they had done all day was write. I mean, really that's what they were doing. They were sitting down with authors, they were using various strategies for narrative writing or image-based writing, and they were writing. I mean, they were very productive. They had a bunch of Common Core standards, and at the end it was as they've been riding roller coasters. And I think that's what sets the writing project apart, is that it engages students at that level. So unlike some other professional development that teachers are exposed to.
Yeah, and our emphasis is that, you know, your students will gain the skills and they will meet the Common Core standards, and they can also be engaged, and it can also be student-centered, and you can also enliven and awaken their voices at the same time. It doesn't have to be standardized and didactic in order to meet these standards. There are myriad ways to pull our students in and help them to love reading and love writing and become lifelong learners in the process also meet those standards. So yeah, it's good to hear. It's good to hear that they were.
It is. They were happy.
It was like Disney World. It's like Disney World, apparently.
It was better.
Yeah, better than Disney World. Absolutely.
Hey, I was just looking at your Facebook page for the National Writing Project, Marnie, and it looks like the deadline to apply for this summer was April 20th. So it's too late to apply for this summer's writing?
Well, we're still, we're still leaving that a little bit open because the announcement on the DOE site got out a little bit late this year because they were still working on it. So teachers can still apply, absolutely, until I'd say May 1st. We still have some spots open, so teachers can still apply.
And is that for the Writing Institute on both Oahu and Maui, or is it just the Maui one, or?
Just the Maui one. So this year we have our Maui Summer Institute, which is open for applicants, and then we're running a custom writing project Summer Institute for Kamehameha schools on Oahu for their literacy coaches and the teachers that the literacy coaches. So that's a separate one. But next year we'll be doing one of our regular institutes on Oahu as well.
And do you folks still do the Literature Institute? I know I had gone to that one many years ago.
We are not doing the Literature Institutes at this time. We're doing the Summer Institutes. The seed grants, we're supported by federal seed grants from the U.S. DOE. And so there's a teacher leadership grant, which is our Summer Institute that we run. And then we have a high needs school grant where we can do work in individual schools. So right now we're focused on Wailuku Elementary School and doing some professional development with them. So as the seed grants come around that support us then we can customize those institutes a little bit more.
So kind of best thing we should pass on to our colleagues to keep watching your Facebook page, do you think? Is that kind of where to get the information?
Watch the Facebook page, and we have a website. You know, the Hawaii Writing Project is housed at the College of Education at UH Manoa, and so we have a website there. It gives basic information, but the Facebook page is a lot more active.
Hey Linda, I put those links in the show notes.
That's
and then
great.
I just had one more question back to Celebrate Reading. I wondered if one thing that wasn't around, I feel really old to say this, but when we were doing Celebrate Reading, kids were not using Instagram and Facebook and Kik and Snapchat and all those things. So I just wondered if you folks did some publicizing of Celebrate Reading or even incorporated that technology into the sharing of the poems or connecting with each other in any way.
We did not do that this year. Last year we did it. We had a Facebook page, but it was pretty bare bones. But that is a great. That's a direction that I certainly would like to take with it. If we can get somebody to come in and run that for us. Maybe Linda could do that for us next year. That would be perfect. And just keep it, and then we could have a after the event reading, because all those students that still want to read could have a forum. We could all meet afterwards virtually. Yeah, that would be nice. And we could do something like this. Yeah.
Yes, this is fun. Michelle always has great questions to ask, and they're always things I would ask as well. Thanks for the good questions, Michelle. Okay, so what about anything else, or should we plunge into the students' readings?
I think we should sort of plunge. I'm so delighted because one of our purposes is to get students together from different campuses and different ages, and one of our messages is that great learning and great teaching and great literature inspires kindergarten students all the way through graduate level students. That really the basic roots of deep engagement are the same regardless of your age, regardless of your background. We all seek that, we all thirst for that inspiration. So it's so great to have, students from UHMC here and from EAL, all here to sort of celebrate their voices and to support each other. So I'm super excited about it.
Oh, we are too. It's really exciting. And as I said, for National Poetry Month, it's just perfect. So we're definitely going to do it again next year, Marnie.
Excellent.
Yes, and we'll see how that rolls around. Great. Okay, so do you want to introduce the students, or how do you want it to work?
Let's start with the EL students, and I'll let Kristin take over for a sec.
So I brought 3 students. They need to come over here. We have Sienna, Phoebe, and Colby. And I'll just, explanation that in my class I use poetry all year long, but I don't teach poetry in a bubble. I teach poetry as a strategy to hit a number of learning standards, including like nonfiction text analysis, argumentative writing. So I use it all the time. Right now we are in a unit that is focused pretty heavily on poetry because it will culminate in a poetry slam in which I bring authors and professors to judge my students as they slam poetry in front of an audience. And so they're in preparation for that, and our unit's focused on young social justice activists across the world. Who would like to begin? Who's ready? Oh, I would like to add before I forget, I have had, I've also brought former students of mine to serve as judges. But I would also extend that invitation to any students at Seabury Hall who would come down to EL School and watch these kids perform, and they're incredible. It's a wonderful event, and I'd welcome them anytime. And I think this year it's going to be right after Memorial Day. I'll have my poetry slam. And I think it'd be nice to bridge the gap that exists between the private schools here on Maui and public schools, and they can learn from each other. Because I know my students have incredible gifts that they need to share to a broader audience. So that's why I think this particular form is fabulous. But I think we could continue to have such opportunities. So I think Sienna is the brave one. And this particular poem comes from a lesson that began with reading the Caged Bird poem by Maya Angelou. And they had to create their own, they had to write a poem using an extended metaphor, imagery, and I believe rhyme. So Sienna will explain more about her poem. It's really unique. So you can take my spot.
So I don't know.
So yeah, they can see you right now.
My poem is about a social issue or
I think you told me it was about domestic violence.
yeah, it's an issue. We were supposed to write a poem about an issue. It's supposed to be about domestic violence because I don't know, I just sort of had a connection with it, so I just roamed with it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I've never done. Okay. The toothless shark had a special spark. His teeth were stolen one at a time, his gums now covered in thick red slime. As his teeth would try to grow back, the tooth burglar would appear and hand a black velvet sack. In it he kept the shark's 2 rows of teeth, but no one knew he was the thief. That special spark is now dimming, the burglar is slowly winning. The toothless shark, unable to defend, the toothless shark is at his end. The toothless shark finally stopped trying, the toothless shark is slowly dying.
That was awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I had to read that a few times to understand that it was about domestic violence. And gosh.
And that was Sherry. Her name was Sherry?
Oh, Sienna.
Sienna, sorry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was wonderful, Sienna.
I think next we'll have Phoebe.
Okay.
And I believe this assignment was earlier on in the school year. I had them write noticing all the things that they notice when they look around the world, but they feel like other people don't see. Is that the one you're going to do? Okay. So this is Phoebe.
Hi.
Hi, Phoebe.
Okay, so the title of my poem is called Clearly Hidden. I wrote it because we did that assignment thingy, and it was fun, so I just put some words that I had in my mind, and I put it together. So, I noticed the fluorescent orange and pink in the dull book we call life. The way our eyes shine in shades of brown and amber in pure darkness. The orchestra that plays beneath the dampened silence. We admire the dark as the crystal blue tint in our windows are now not needed. We humans say light is faster than anything in the world. But is it really the light, or is it us who need to slow down? Now tell me, what do you see?
That was great, Phoebe.
Oh, you have to do the other one, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Explain what it was. I don't even know the prompt for that one.
For this one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my second poem is called Viola, or Viola, which could stand as the instrument that is slightly bigger than the violin, or a person's name. So, the strings are withered, the white varnished with a hidden shine, a wandering soul hanging to the last thread, because it is rare and of its last kind. It is the strongest of the strongest and bears no pain, yet it is still as exotic as true life attained. It wasn't always brought with love, care, or devotion, but always forgave and moved forward in motion. It longed to be played while the soul wanted to be loved, and I guess that's why they called it pulling on the heartstrings. That's my poem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Colby? You can just say hi.
Hello.
Hi, Colby.
So my poem is supposed to be for a metaphor, and yeah. I am the great snake of the peak. On mountains havoc I shall wreak. Round I shall coil, round heaven's mount I shall bring turmoil. When the mountain comes crashing down, on another I shall make myself crowned, till I shed my skin and the reign of the awakened serpent begin.
So I did have another poem, if it's okay I read, of a student who's not here, that I'd like to share, and I think it'd be okay with him, because I've shared it already. Actually, it might take me a second, I thought I already had it up. Well, let me find it, and then I can do it. This one was, the one I wanted to read was based, is an example of how you can use poetry with nonfiction, and that's part of the Common Core now. This some new emphasis on nonfiction text. So my students have been reading about global climate change and have been reading about a particular activist who's their age named Chichescott Martinez, who's a youth leader for this thing called Earth Guardians, this organization. And so they had read about him, and they had a Google Hangout conversation with him. Then they created what's called a found poem about found poetry. But this student created a found poem based on what they read in various articles about global climate change. So I will get it up in a moment, and then I can share that as well. I wish I could have brought more students. So, yeah.
Hi. So would we like to move on to, so I've got 3 students here from Maui College who are, 2 of whom are my former creative writing students and 1 who is a current creative writing student. Guibert. Guibert has written it's a very poetic, it's a memoir, but the language in it is so rich and poetic. I asked her to come and please read it, and she'll tell you what it's about. But I consider sometimes with my creative writing students, I talk about how we can incorporate poetic language, cadence, rhythm, the texture of language, and even internal rhyming. We can incorporate that into our prose because the reader, the listener, always listens for the musicality of language, regardless if it's prose or poetry. So I thought Leslie's piece, Land of Enchantment, was a really good example of that. So I was wondering if Leslie could come down and read it. She's got it on her computer, so you'll just have to hold your computer kind of a little far away from this one so we don't get interference. And go ahead and reintroduce yourself and tell a little bit about this piece.
Hello, I'm Leslie, and when I was 14 years old, I moved from Oceania, one of the islands in Oceania, Palau, to Santa Fe, New Mexico at 14, and I wasn't very keen about that idea. So this is a moment where I was first introduced to a Native American ritual, which my mother is a principal for a Native American private school there, and she brought me to 3 pueblos on my first month just to give me some sort of a cultural experience, which I was kind of not really into at the time. So the title is called Land of Enchantment. Staring at the ground, dust forms and rises up white leather moccasins, stomping on the dry, pebbly yard. The jingling of silver bells tied around the knees make it seem like Santa Claus is coming to town in the middle of this dreadful desert. At the hem of their dresses are geometric designs of green and yellow, symbolizing colors of the corn crops. It is the Native American tribe of Tewa, performing the annual corn dance to encourage good harvests this season. Although it is the dead of summer, the proud women are in full costume. Draped to the knees in bright red ensemble, over white long-sleeved dresses, delicately laced at the cuffs, they are all uniformed in a long procession. Down the neckline, oval-shaped turquoise stones embedded heavily in sterling silver strands. I'm thinking this would make a great disguise for a Halloween costume sometime. Above their jet black braided manes are square-like headdresses of what looks to be an eagle in block design. Ferocious eyes protruding through hand-painted faces of the men in line with them make the solemn ladies seem untouchable. Fresh cuttings of what I believe to be juniper shrubs strap the dancers' arms. Its minty scent lingers in the air as I witness my first encounter of a Native American ritual. As the hypnotic beat of the drums lead each stomp, I am immobilized by the echoing mantra that seems to hail a long, reverberated hallelujah in my arrogant 14-year-old ears. Every moment seems like I'm sitting in a dark theater capturing it all on screen. I do not want to be here. I wish it were a dream. My weary gaze lifts up from the thick cloud of dust in search of something else to feast upon. And there on the rooftops of the adobe homes is another cadence of gray smoke endlessly whispering out of the chimneys. I can still taste the green chili pozole simmering in the kettle over man-made fire, awaiting the next guest. As much as I love to taste new food, this dish hit me hard, as my stomach is yet to accustom itself to the spices of the Southwest. I tried to find a reason to appreciate this new cultural experience, but my heartburn continues to interrupt. The clatter of the tortoise rattles accompanying the chant disturbs the tempo enough for me to walk away. I look for one of the few brittle, lonely trees for shade. I stand there in silence, away from the claustrophobic crowd of onlookers. I stare out to the scraggly, unmaintained wired fence surrounding the perimeters of Santa Clara Pueblo. Jesus, what have I agreed to? Santa Fe? Why couldn't it be San Diego? At least the Pacific Ocean meets the coast there. So what of the Rio Grande flowing through the banks here? As the native souls cry out to their spirits across the flat mesas in the faint horizon, so does mine, quietly murmuring to my own ancestors beyond the ocean, far, far away from here. I close my eyes and wish that a great big spiritual eagle come fly me home near the equator. I do not belong here.
Wow.
And that's a piece that Leslie has been revising and thinking about, and we've been sitting in my office talking about it for quite a while, and I'm just taken so much by the imagery and the music and in her words, and just love that piece. So I'd like to turn the mic over to Mike Amigo and Corinne O'Connor, two of my former students from English 104 last semester, I think, and have them read a couple of their poems. That they're both accomplished poets, and they're both featured in our literary magazine at the college in Aleo, of which I'm the advisor. So, and Mike, they both have some incredible pieces in Aleo. I don't know if those are the ones they're going to choose to share, but every year UH Maui College publishes a literary magazine. We feature student art and literature in the magazine. So that's the launch party for that is May 14th. So our 2015 issue is going to come. I'm looking forward to seeing it. So Mike and Corinne, you want to start? Mike, you want to start?
Okay. wait till that dog.
Who has the dog? Photobombed by the puppy dog.
Did you want to go first, or okay, I'll go first. I just wrote this about 2 hours ago, but I really liked it, so you guys will be the first to hear it, I guess. It's about my mom. It's called Driver with No License. I'm more or less coming to your wedding, Mother, having been born 3 years prior and growing these curls that won't last very long. It's a current beneath an ocean. It's a mist from the waves. It's your heart when he holds you. And I swear I'm sorry. It's just the best you can do with me on your shoulder. We're passing fruit stands and telephone poles on the desert highway, but they aren't made to last. They're made of curls and my childish laugh, and the pan-pot orchestra I conduct in diapers on the floor with a wooden spoon. You do and he does, and both will, but not for long. Sometimes it doesn't pool inside me. I find her, and her and I find a dragonfly on the ground panting with its tongue out. But it's the right weather and the safest time of day, and we're in the softest light. So I'm more or less coming to your separation, Mother. Just let me see you cry this time, and I swear I'll hold you. My curls are gone, and the orchestra has left, and her and I are finding new fruit stands with new insects to rescue. But it's only a ceremony with a beginning and an end.
Okay, so I'll go next. This is a poem I wrote this semester for our advanced poetry class. We had to do an interpretation of a proof rock poem we read. So this is my interpretation. It's called Wet Wood. Let us go then, you and I. We need more rain. I don't think you would need to keep all this water if it rains some. It settles on you like heavy wet wood and watches as you try to breathe underneath. You keep secret and still here, where the people don't trust you to keep the children away from the cliff. Let us go down black ice streets, past a dead German soldier being used as a street sign. Our mud boots tapping as we leave, the bone-snap winds that make the trees split sadly open and over at the middle. We will walk to that selective memory, and the rivers will reach for us. I will measure a place by the presence of birds, and if there is no sight or sound of birds in that place, then it's most likely not a place to be. I will know we are there by the taste of your tongue. I will know by the taste of your steam from your lung, and I will wonder if we taste the same. I lead you to the rain-dusted windows on top of the hill. We went quiet and small and pulled into the wall. We are not happy on the hill. Cannot open the window, will not open the curtains. Let us go, bend and reach toward better weather where we can stand and swell in the rain.
Wonderful poems. We could do a whole nother show about how you wrote them and how you got to that point. Or...
I don't know. Did you want to go first, explain how you wrote that?
Oh. I have a question.
If you want to share, whatever you want to share.
Explain how we wrote that, sort of.
How we wrote that, go for yours.
Okay, well, I'll just talk about the one I just wrote then. Well, the title, Driver with No License, refers to my mom left home, I think, when she was 14 and got a job driving old people to and from their houses to an old folks' home. But she didn't have a license. It was completely illegal. She had kind of a crazy childhood. But I think the first poem I ever wrote was about my mom. I hadn't written one in a really long time about her, and I think I was just listening to an album that I haven't really listened to yet. An artist I listened to just released an album, and I don't know, it just came out of me. I haven't looked, that was the first time I read it back. I just wrote it like 2 hours ago, so. I don't know, I guess it took me about an hour to write, but it talks about a lot of things in it. My parents' wedding and their separation, and times we went on road trips in California, me and my mom. And it also talks about a dragonfly me and Corinne just found on in the parking lot before that. But I was kind of just talking about being a child and my mother having me and having it be this special thing, and then kind of growing up and, you know, finding a new woman in my life, I guess, if that sounds weird to say. But, and not, you know, being my mother's child anymore, but still kind of being her child and, I don't know, being there for her, and I don't know what else to really say about it than that.
That was neat. Thank you for explaining. I know you don't. I don't know if poets like to explain what their poems are about, so I really appreciate you sharing that with us. It's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to talk about yours a little bit?
Sure. I mean, mine's not as personal as his. It doesn't have as much close meaning. It was more of like a fictional story about taking somebody on a journey from someone who's just really unhappy and then taking them back to a happy memory. But something you can't actually do, but physically, like going on a walk with them back in time to the place where they were happy, is the gist of what it was going to be about and is about.
Neat. Very neat. Is Leslie still there?
Leslie's here. Yes. Let me bring her over.
I wanted to make a comment on her work.
Okay, got your piece. Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Leslie. I just wanted to tell you that I was really touched by your piece because I went to New Mexico to go to school, and I felt that disconnect when I was there. So I really connected with your feeling of, you know, not wanting to be there. I eventually did adjust, but yeah, I was in the middle of a desert, and where was the ocean, and you know, the same kinds of feelings that you were going through, and those images I know very well because I ended up living in the Southwest and coming to love that culture. But that really, really was really touched me, and to hear that coming from you. And did you write that recently, right? Not when you were 14, correct?
When Mrs. Masuda asked us to write a memoir, I always, for some reason, I do feel that Santa Fe is my second home. I spent quite a few years there. Every time I write, it's usually about the ocean and being in the tropics, and I kind of get tired of that myself. And that's like my escape, is to go back to the desert, because it was so new to me. I remember every detail, and that actually happened when I was 14 years old, my first month there in August of 1986. And yes, I just lived there like you. I stayed there for many, many years, and I came to love it as I grew older, and it is my second home at heart.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Talk a little bit about, yeah, I'm trying to be teacher mode right now, but some of the revisions, because she was some piece that she wasn't that crazy about, right? You were kind of, I mean, how have you been working through that? I thought it was beautifully written, and I thought there was all this potential, and she was a little shaky, but she's kind of returning to it.
Well, yeah, I don't really write often, and it's been years since I took an English class, so I didn't know what to write. I followed Mrs. Masuda's instructions, and I just wrote like I was writing in my journal, and I just let it flow. And in the end, when I tried to revise it, I had to realize that I need to just be true to what I saw and what I felt, and just say it as it is, rather than trying to. I go through like this mind-boggling process of being that English is my second language. I keep going to the thesaurus. If I choose a word, I keep going to the thesaurus for each word that I'm not comfortable with, to find the one that really goes with it. And sometimes I make it a little more fancier than it really is. And Mrs. Masuda has a great way of showing me, not directly telling me, but just telling me to just say it as simply as possible. So I've simplified a lot, and yeah, and using the thesaurus, of course, and yeah, just being true to what really happened, and not being embarrassed about anything, but just write it down from how you felt it inside. I think being truthful is the best way to write.
And that particular poem, you don't feel finished with it?
No, it's actually longer. There's an ending to it, but I just kind of went there and left it at that. But it's longer. It's about two more paragraphs. Yes.
I was thinking that you should get it published somewhere.
Oh, yes, definitely. I'm trying to encourage her. She looked at me like I was crazy when I first said,
No,
I think it's incredible. I think she get published. She just looked at me like I was nuts. And yeah, see now, somebody's.
Oh, yeah, that imagery is just brought all of that so sharply back to me. And I was in New Mexico decades ago. So yeah, the pictures that you created are pretty awesome. I think you should publish for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks. Great to get it. We should do this. We should do this a lot. We should do this every a couple of months or something.
I know. I think we should. Maybe quarterly to start, or and get more students.
What kind of, do you all have a literary magazine and poetry? What are you doing at Seabury to foster this type of writing with your students at this point? Can we get those groups together maybe next time?
We can think about it for sure. I mean, I can try to drive some interest there. You know, everyone, as you know, has their own little agenda, but I can show them what happened today, and I'd love for our kids to come down to EL to be judges.
Yeah, or just do an island-wide partnership like this.
That'd be fun.
Going on in all the different schools,
and go organic with whatever comes up. You know, if we have another show, what will it look like? It doesn't have to all be the same.
Right.
But the sharing part is, I definitely want to keep that. It's really pretty.
Hey,
neat.
I was wondering too. It's and by the way, Linda Ann posted in the Q&A that the poems are so powerful. So as she's listening into, and I really enjoyed listening to it. But I'm not an auditory. That's not my strength. I really want to look at the words. I wondered if, Marnie and Kristin, we could possibly convince your students to share their poems. Linda, I was thinking in a Google Doc, and then
that's what I was thinking too when they're reading. Let's do that.
Something like that. Or Linda, two other tools, and I don't know if you folks use these with your students, but I put it in the show notes. Last year, Linda's students at Seabury Hall recorded their poems on Flipgrid. And Flipgrid is a 90-second video that allows students to record. So we just set up a prompt that said, record an original poem, and the kids had 90 seconds, which isn't too long. I realize some of the poems won't fit necessarily. But then they can read it. We can hear it in their voice. Or, Linda, the other thing I was thinking is to use a Padlet also. Might be a place where people could type their poems in, kind of fun and colorful. The thing about Padlet then is, I guess we'd have to monitor to be sure it's always appropriate. Sorry, I'm thinking middle schoolers. But, and not your middle schoolers, Kristin, but I'm just thinking, we have to be careful. Because anybody could publish there. Linda, I think Google Plus would be the perfect place for a community of people to share their poems, but again, it's not appropriate for kids under 13, so that's kind of frustrating. And actually, I had a question back for Marnie, your former student. Sorry, I think I missed your name. Mike? Is it Mike? I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's Mike.
Mike, okay. I wondered, Mike, and I wondered if you folks have, or actually any of the folks who read, if you have websites or poets that you follow on YouTube. I'm just thinking, and maybe they're not even there, but my son is really into video gaming, so he's always listening to this guy named Nate Shot. And anyway, I don't know if you know him. He's this super famous YouTuber, video gamer. And I just wondered, does that also exist for poets? I'm kind of thinking it might, or maybe you folks should start it. I'm waiting, so I'll watch for you, Mike.
I'm not sure if there's a. Hey, let me meet you guys again. I'm not sure if there's a place that I've really found that where poets actually read. I used to submit to this. It's actually a video game forum called NeoGAF Online, and they have a video game section and an off-topic section, and there's all these different threads that are going on all the time, and one of them that got started a long time ago is called the NeoGAF Poetry Corner, and they have these every 2 weeks they have these contests that will be based on a theme, and so you'll write a poem based on this theme, and there will be like a secondary objective, and you can kind of, it'll be make a acrostic poem or something like that, or I don't know, all these different random themes that they'll come up with and objectives that you can try to do, and then at the end everyone will vote, and whoever wins gets to pick the next topic. And for about 6 months I was posting on there pretty regularly, and they do things sometimes where they would have poets submit auditory tracks of them reading their poems and stuff, but other than that I don't really know. That's just, I spent a lot of time doing that, and I felt like I grew a lot from doing that. But my roommate actually showed me that, and we would submit all the time to those things. But other than that, I'm not really too sure of places where poets YouTube their poems and stuff. I don't know if there's too much of a market for that yet. Hopefully there should be. That would be super cool, I think.
Probably. There's probably more like slam poetry or something. Yeah. Hey, I think I found the NeoGAF site, so I'll post it in the show notes, Linda. And I think that's such a cool thing. Mike, do you think that's more for like high school, college-age kids, like we shouldn't share that with middle school, or do you think really it's anyone who's interested in poetry? I'm just wondering about content, and sometimes we as...
well, in regards to NeoGAF,
yeah.
I think that you have to have, it's pretty hard to get on that forum. It took me about 1.5 years to get actually accepted onto the forum. But I think you have to be a college student and have like a college email. So I don't know if that would be too great for middle school students and stuff like that to submit to. But I don't know. Because I remember it took me a really long time to get on there. They're pretty picky about who they let in, and they kind of ban people sometimes, and it's kind of like a white gated community, a virtual one, but. Yeah, I don't know how good that would be for that, but
so they really vet the
maybe we should start something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You should start an open community.
Yeah, because I always thought that was such a cool, the way that was set up. It was moderated so well, and it was really fun. We would get into these, aside from the poems, we'd get into these huge discussions, and it would be hilarious, and it made poetry not seem like this thing that you do in your room alone in the dark. It was this fun thing where everyone was like, I mean, that's not what poetry is, but I think people who don't write it it gets this kind of, I don't know, image, but it's a fun thing to do, and it brings people together, and I don't know.
Yeah.
So
there's got to be other groups, and if not, I think you should start one.
Yeah. Or at the very least start searching for other ones that are already started, but I don't know.
Well, the Hangout venue is great because you can have shows and, be the host and have people come on.
Yeah, this is really great. Marnie just told us about this earlier today. I didn't even know what I was getting myself into, but
yeah, you're going to be on YouTube. People are going to see your poetry. See you reading the poetry. Yeah, this might be the start of something that you might want to do. Sorry.
I was just asking. Did you mention earlier us posting the poems with the text on the site or something?
You know what I was thinking, Marnie? Why couldn't we put it on the show notes?
That's what I was thinking too.
Why couldn't they copy and paste it onto the show notes? And that be right there, that they could see it and also listen to it online.
I don't see why not.
Yeah. So let's see. I should share. I should share it with them though. So I would need, not on air, but I need their email, or they can send me their email, and I can have them. I will share the document with them, and then they can go ahead and paste the poems in.
That's good.
I'll set it up so that they'll know where to go. I'll have the names, and that includes also hopefully the EL people too.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Building on it. This would be fantastic. Sort of a virtual anthology.
Yes.
Multimedia virtual anthology.
That would be fantastic. Wow.
Yeah, every year I get, even this school year, I don't know what to do because I have all these poems and all these other types of writing, and I haven't created an anthology. I want a place for these to be saved and read, and not just somewhere stuffed in my closet. I don't throw them away, a lot of them, but yeah, this writing is incredible, and it needs to be preserved, and it also needs a broader audience. And the kids, I think, are more engaged when they know there's a broader audience rather than just their English teacher. So any way we can expand the reach of their voices, I'm interested in for sure.
That'd be great. Oh, we could start it on the show notes, but you might think of a more formal way. There are ways to do ebooks, where they can contribute and have their own section kind of thing. But yeah, to start off with show notes, and that might spark some ideas on your end.
Yeah.
For sure. Wow. I feel like I really celebrated National Poetry Month. I didn't until April 28th, except for the Celebrate Reading part, sorry. But yeah,
we do. We celebrate
awesome.
all year long.
Neat. Yeah, it's a whole new world that has opened up. I mean, the possibilities are wonderful. And Mike was saying about how, it seems like a solitary thing, so bringing it for other people to see, and I know there are a lot of people who write, and bringing them together and celebrating them, I think, is a really wonderful thing. We should definitely encourage it. Okay, that was wonderful, and it's an hour, and we did everything that we wanted to. Anything you want to add, Michelle or Marnie or Kristin or Mike or Corinne?
I just want to encourage everyone to just write and share their voice, and in any possible way. And I think especially, we live in the small island, and I think that we should be, in any time, any place that we can get people together of all ages to speak their truth. We need to seize that opportunity. So I think that's what this is about.
Sounds great, and we shall definitely plan another hangout.
We'll hang out.
How that takes place. Alrighty. If the people on the panel would stick around just for a few minutes to debrief, but we're going to go. We're going to say aloha for now. Thank you for watching. Great show as usual, and we're celebrating poetry. So without further ado, we'll say aloha and take care. See you next week.